Hello there. I just wanted to review with you the parents presentation put together by UCAS regarding applications for 2023. So we do have a day designated to UCAS, apprenticeships, etc. on the 6th of July with students in school. However, I know for parents and carers, it's a difficult time trying to work out what they should be doing and kind of making sure that you know as much as you possibly can to support them through the process. So I wanted to share this with you, and then if you do have any further questions, obviously please do get in contact with either myself, Mrs. Smith, or the student's mentor or individual class teacher. So this, as I said, has been put together by UCAS for parents and carers, looking at what UCAS offer as well as the next steps. So to go through, UCAS is an independent charity providing information, advice and admission services, and they are there to help people through the next steps. So as you can see, it explains what they do and what they don't do. So they do provide information, advice and support. They do process applications. They do complete checks around fraud and verifying. They also do take part in education sector engagement, but they don't make decisions around offers. They don't set entry requirements. They don't advise on finances, and they don't advise on immigration or visas for individuals. So they have information and advice around higher education, so university-based degrees, apprenticeships and traineeships, and apprenticeships vary in terms of the grades that you might be looking at. So there are degree apprenticeships, but also other forms of apprenticeships too. They also can give advice around studying abroad, gap years, and getting a job. So why think about higher education and going off to study a degree level qualification? So for some career paths, obviously this is an essential route, that actually to get to that particular career, you cannot do it without getting a particular course and qualification. It's also really useful for developing new transferable skills and developing enhanced subject knowledge. It can also increase your confidence and independence, working in a very different way to the way that a student would have ever worked before, broaden experiences, meeting lots of new people from wide ranges of walks of life. It's an investment into the student's own future, can also increase job prospects and provide a higher earning potential. So this is something we have gone through with students previously to explain that this pathway obviously does unlock certain things for them, but it may not feel like the right choice for them at this point. So again, lots of conversations can be had around that, lots of information from UCAS to support making these decisions. So UCAS also supports apprenticeship finding, and you can see this via ucas.com/apprenticeships. And this covers degree apprenticeships, so equivalent to a degree, and you would come out with a degree qualification essentially. How to find and apply for apprenticeships is also covered in this area of the website. Preparing your application and then for your interview, and then industry guides as well. Now, apprenticeships are something which don't have the same kind of deadlines as the university applications. They're something that students need to be looking at all the time and seeking out the apprenticeship for them. And obviously there's a high demand for them. Lots of individuals want to be applying for things where they'll be able to earn as well as qualify. And so it's really important that students stay on top of looking for apprenticeships and grabbing them as quickly as they absolutely can. So in terms of choosing the right place, to go next, if it's a place of higher education, for example, it's really important that students consider the following. What kind of style they're looking for? So do they want a traditional higher education university with a focus on subject-based courses and research, or is it more vocational, on-the-job learning? You also can find higher education institutions that actually do a mixture of courses in one and focus on skills. So there is a huge plethora of options, but it's important for students to consider what they want, what would work for them. Location is an important thing. Larger cities, smaller towns, in the countryside or by the sea, all these things have an impact and an influence. So it's thinking again about prioritising that type of thing, working out where the student wants to be. The size of the university, so a student might want to go to a larger institution, but actually there are some smaller situations which may fit for other students. The culture and the facilities, so again, what they have to offer. Do they have sporting facilities, or is it something that's going to serve their wider interests as well as their course interests? Also, a really important thing to look at is what do their graduates actually go on to do? So if a person has studied there and they graduate with a good honours degree, then what next? Do they have good earning power? Do they end up in employment in a role that they want? And all this information is available. Also, then tuition fees. Generally speaking, these are pretty standard nowadays, but there are variations. So again, to check on this, but also are there scholarships available? Are there bursaries available? And then also thinking about living costs, whether it be the accommodation at the halls of residence, the transportation links around, and also food. So it may well be looking into catered halls versus uncatered, where if they're catered, then you'll know that your child is going to have 3 meals a day for the first year at least, and not having to incorporate any other costings within that. So just thinking about some of these things will potentially help you to narrow down what a student is thinking about for the next year. And the right course. So it's really important that students really analyse what kind of course they want to be doing. There are lots of helpful things on the UCAS website to help students narrow down and find out courses that they would like to do. But we will also be helping facilitate that discussion when we have our UCAS Day in July. So when they do find courses that they are interested in, they should be looking at these things. What does the course cover? How is it broken down? What are they going to be studying? So courses that may look the same based on the title may be hugely different, often based on the skill set of the lecturers that they have, but also maybe the research that they have been most famous for and have the highest reputation for. So you may find a course like sociology. It says sociology is the title, but actually the variations within it are huge. So it's really important to have a good look at the course structure. Also the qualification that the course will lead to. So some may say BSc, a Bachelor of Science, some may say a Bachelor of Arts, and there are further ones such as education as well, but it's also really important just to have a think about that. Modules may also vary, so you may have some decision making to do within a course. You may be able to go down different routes and specialise in different routes, so it's just being aware of that. Thinking about whether there is a placement you could go, or an option to study abroad, an internship, what that would look like, how the funding works, etc. How is the course actually taught? Is it going to be large lecture halls of over 300 people at a time, or much smaller seminars with just a handful of people and a professor? So again, just having a think about that and how will that work for the student, the individual. Then how is it assessed? Whether it will be examinations, more continuous coursework, how large would the dissertation be at the end? Is it going to be a 15,000 word piece or something slightly smaller? And again, these are just ways to think about, what are the options, what would suit the student in particular. So UCAS Hub is a really wonderful resource. I'm just going to go through a little bit more about this. So the UCAS Hub will be able to help you look at so many different things, including exploring careers, subject places and apprenticeships, find and favoriting over 35,000 courses to help students to narrow down their search and remember the things that they've been liking, looking for open days, online events, virtual tours, looking at predicted grades and turning them into tariff points. So essentially saying, right, my teacher has predicted me on my last report a grade B. What does that actually mean for a tariff score? Some universities will offer a certain amount of points for a student to achieve from their courses. Others may stipulate we would like this grade, and this grade. But it helps students to work out what courses they're already kind of qualifying for based on their predicted grades, but also it tells them which courses may be slightly at the moment further out of their grasp and that they need to work a little bit harder to get up to those grades in their next assessment points. You can also contact uni buddies, so the idea of talking to people that know the systems or in the systems already. You can also speak to careers, higher education and application specialists through the hub. There's a UCAS quiz to help you with careers and thinking about what careers you might like to do. And then the applications are actually now open. They have opened just this month, and so students would register to access all of those things, but also to start their application. I am going to ask that students don't do anything with their application until our day on the July, because we have certain things that they need to fill in line with what the school does, just to make sure that we can advise them through the process as best possible. But they can certainly register. They may use their school email address to register, but bear that in mind that in September their school email address will no longer be available. And this is September 2023, not this coming September. And obviously students may wish to still have information coming through UCAS once they have started their university courses for whatever reason that might be. So it's just something to bear in mind. They also have some tools to help. So the idea of the searching and favoriting your courses, exploring your favorite options. As mentioned, your Hub Live sessions with a live expert, UCAS discovery, talking to subject and admissions experts around apprenticeships as well, and just discovering a whole host of opportunities. The careers quiz, as we mentioned, and then also looking at accommodation. So in terms of the actual completion of the UCAS application, students have to register for a UCAS Hub account. They then complete all the sections in the application form and then send it over to us. There will be a buzzword that we will issue to them in July where essentially they will connect to our centre. Then I will be able to see everything that they are doing as well as Mrs. Smith. We will then review their application and add in a reference. We do ask students that they carefully check the courses that they're selecting and the requirements for grades. If the student essentially applies for a course and they are not being predicted the grades that they need to get onto that course, it is highly likely they will not get a place. Usually universities are assuming that applicants will have the minimum grade criteria and requirements, and that is one of the things that they use to say yes or no to an application. The personal statement is the other essential part, which we'll be working on July the 6th. We use predicted grades, so essentially we'll use all we know about a young person's progress in the school. We have an assessment week in September, which we will use to form the predicted grades for the UCAS applications. If a student didn't do very well that week, but has had a perfect record and has been doing really well prior to that, obviously we will take that into consideration. We will share and communicate the predicted grades with the students as well, so they're not an unexpected thing, but obviously that does come from the teacher rather than the student. Once a student has fully finished their application, they will then pay for it themselves via card, which obviously parents and carers may need to support with, and then that comes over to the school. It doesn't actually go automatically to UCAS. We then add in our final parts, and we will then send that off to UCAS on the behalf of the student. The universities and colleges then make their decisions about the application from there. We cannot change anything at that point, and the universities tend not to converse with us about the applications unless we are in contact with them about something that we've noticed is an issue or concern. But realistically speaking, the application has to be perfect at point of sending. So in terms of the dates that need to be considered, you can see here we have the applications opening from now. In September, we then first day that UCAS can actually receive completed application forms. So although students can start it from now, they actually cannot submit it until September. Then we have the deadline for medicine courses, veterinary courses, medicine, science, dentistry courses at Oxford and Cambridge. So if any of you are considering that route, please flag this to me early. So please make sure your child has come and spoken to myself or Mrs. Smith, because we need to actually work on that more swiftly. Then the next deadline is the 25th of January. Now, this is the final deadline for equal consideration. So essentially, it doesn't matter if you've applied on the 6th of September up to the 25th of January, you will have equal consideration for your application. No places will be being filled. So course availability will still be there up until that point. After that date, you might submit an application form, your child might submit an application form, but actually the courses might be full from that point and they don't have to make an offer if they have filled a course. We also then have the 23rd of February, UCAS Extra opens, and this is when students who may possibly not have actually made the right qualifications and maybe not gotten any offers will be able to get some support and look at alternatives. And then the final date for applications before clearing opens is the 30th of June. Clearing is for students that maybe haven't made the grades as well. So realistically speaking, the key dates for you to be aware of are going to be the 6th of September with the opening for applications, the 15th of October for the deadline for particular courses, including courses at Oxford and Cambridge, and then the 25th of January, which is the absolute last date that we can send the applications. What I also must say is that as a school, we cannot receive all of the applications on that date. We will not be able to get them out on time. And remember, the students submit it, but it comes to us for us then to action. Realistically speaking, we would hope that all of our students had actually submitted their application forms no later than December, and preferably late November. So the idea is that the majority of students have got that submitted and off. You tend to find that offers come through slightly more quickly the earlier that it's sent. Obviously, by January, there's quite a backlog for admissions at the different institutions to deal with. And so sometimes the offers can be a little bit slower from there just due to volume. Okay, so some key facts. So you must have a UCAS Hub account to start the application. So please make sure your son or daughter is aware of that. And again, we'll go through this with them in July. From 3rd of May, applications can be started but can't be submitted. Importantly then, the students have to select 5 choices unless they're going off to study medicine, veterinary, medicine, science, dentistry, then it's 4 choices. You can't apply at both Oxford and Cambridge at the same time. There is an application cost, so the majority of students tend to go for the second, where you get your multiple choices, £27 for essentially your 5 choices, unless you're studying those particular subjects where you can only have 4 choices. But if you did just want to apply for 1 choice, it's £22.50. It's really important to apply by that equal consideration date, 25th of January. Universities cannot see the other choices when you apply, so don't worry about the order your son or daughter is putting them in. Don't worry about what they may see. It's just they'll see the application coming through to them, and that's it. Okay, so like I said, we are going to be talking to them about linking to a school or centre, which we will give them a buzzword for, and we'll set that up for them for July. When they use that buzzword, essentially then it will connect to us, and I will be able to see their application and add their reference in. They will be asked to include personal details, contact and residency details, nationality details, supporting information, English language skills, finance and funding, diversity and inclusion information, and then more about them as well. They will need to include experiences of education, employment, and extra activities, then their personal statement, reference, and then up to 5 choices after. So the personal statement is a really important thing for them to be writing, and they can only write 1 personal statement. So if they're applying for 3 different courses within their 5 choices, say sociology, psychology, and politics, the institutions are only going to see 1 personal statement, and so they'll have to find a way to cover the ground for each of those different courses in 1 statement. We'll be able to advise them on that, but they cannot submit more than 1 personal statement, and that's really important to remember. So these are the things that should be on their personal statement. Again, we'll go through this with them, but for your awareness, hopefully they'll be asking you to proofread these or at least go through them with you. So they need to have a section where essentially it's kind of all in their control, and they are able to really shine and show their personality off. So this is where they get to really flourish, and it's their moment to market themselves. It will be, like I said, the same for all choices. It's a maximum of 4,000 characters or 47 lines, a minimum of 1,000 characters. A short personal statement is never going to look good. They don't have a spelling or grammar check function on the website for the UCAS Hub, so it's important that they start it on a Word document. They track changes that they're making, especially because they're going to be sharing it with their mentor. They're going to be sharing it with myself and Mrs. Smith at times to check, so it's really important that they do it on a Word document, and it is a work in progress. Students aren't allowed to format on there either, so no bolding out, etc. It's really, really important as well that they carefully check they're not plagiarising anything. There is some software that the UCAS use, so they shouldn't be copying and pasting anything from the internet. So when the universities then receive the application, they will review the personal statement, they'll review the qualifications, they'll look at the references, and they also may ask for admissions tests, interviews, or portfolios and auditions, depending on the nature of the course. But certainly the first 3 all universities will utilise. You can track applications, so your child will then be able to see what happens, and you'll be able to see offers on there and reply to offers on there. And then when they get an offer, or they will hear back. They'll either get given an unconditional offer, which essentially means if you select our institution, you do not need to get these grades now. You will be coming to us, you've got unconditional. Whereas a conditional offer will be, our conditions are you need to get these grades and meet these requirements, but we're offering you a place. Whereas unsuccessful obviously means they haven't been offered a place for that course at that institution. Again, parents and carers won't get this information sent to them. It will come directly to the student, and then the school will be able to see this to talk through with the student if needs be. They also then eventually have to, by the deadline date, make two choices. They have a firm acceptance choice, which is their first choice, and then they have an insurance choice, which is their, if they didn't get into their firm choice, they would go to that one. They would then have to decline any further offers from there. Now, students often worry about this firm insurance. The firm choice usually would be one with a higher grade requirement and the insurance with a lower grade requirement. So when selecting universities to apply to, it's always useful to have at least one or two institutions with slightly lower grade offers to ensure that students don't end up in a position where they can't have a backup option. Once all decisions and replies have been made, if students are not holding an offer, they can then use extra or clearing, as mentioned in the date overview, to find available places. So other options, like I mentioned, extra from the 23rd of February to 4th of July, used all 5 choices, had no offers, and so they can use extra to then apply for a new university course one at a time. So you would put your one application in, hear back, and if you're not successful, the next one, hear back, not successful, try another. Or hopefully on the first go, you hear back and it's all sorted out. Clearing happens after 30th of June. If you've got no offers or declined all offers or not met any conditions, you will then be able to utilise clearing, finding vacancies from the 5th of July and add a clearing choice to your application. So important things that your child can be doing: research, finding out as much as they can about the courses, the qualifications, the options available to them, starting to attend open days. We do ping out information around online open day fairs, for example, but also the universities publish things on their website. Some are in person now, which is excellent. Some are obviously virtual, and some are kind of virtual but always available, which is also helpful. Also thinking about the extracurricular and supercurricular activities that they should be doing. We have offered them lots of supercurricular activities this year, so their investing in that is very important. So for example, doing MOOCs, which are online courses. If they're doing something that's relevant to their particular field, they can talk about that in their personal statement. We've got work experience coming up, and we've spoken to them about the importance of this work experience and actually making it something that they can utilise in their application. Some volunteering also is always helpful, so you could be looking into what kinds of volunteering they could be doing. They also did some volunteering in their community service in the school in the first term they were with us, so for lots of them going and supporting in lessons or potentially in the library. So that's a really helpful thing for them too, to gain those skills and demonstrate that in their applications. Things around independent learning outside of the curriculum as well, so the books that they're reading, the TED Talks that they're watching, how that's influencing, and then also maintaining high standards for their studies at the moment. And how can you support them? So again, do use the parent guardian section of the UCAS website. Do sign up for parent updates from UCAS so that you know about the process. Obviously, do look for open days and things to support your child as best you can to get them there and to access these things. And also be proactive, make sure that your child carefully is reading everything sent to them, and also making sure you're not booking in holidays at important times for them as well. And then there are additional help sections of the UCAS offer available. So there's a customer experience centre, and you can speak to them online. Also, they have social media and there are helpful updates there. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this has been useful. In addition to this, I'm also going to be sending out to parents an apprenticeships guide, which hopefully will be really useful too, and just give some information about the types of apprenticeships that you might look at, as well as kind of how to find them. And that's from Amazing Apprenticeships. So I'm going to ask for this also to be sent out to parents. And then if you do have any questions, please do get in touch.